in twofold. On one hand, there is the concern that it would appear a certain class or category of persons is the one that seems to, fall foul of the eye of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. How would you respond to this perspective?
It's a perception. We cannot certainly run away from it. But let me tell you, the cases that you are probably hearing and reading about today are cases that we started working on some way back, a long time back, in the previous dispensation. And they are only surfacing and coming to light because of perhaps their high profile. In our country, in our small jurisdiction, we'll probably call them grand corruption. But whereas in other countries, this is probably equated to a petty or just an ordinary corruption. But certainly these are cases that were in the files. There's nothing new.
Right.
Although what we have seen, if I may just add, is an upsurge in the number of cases that are now being reported to us as a commission in the new dispensation, under the new dispensation.
Can I give my panelists a chance to respond?
Yeah, I think just to respond to the Anti-Corruption Commission, the public perception about selective application of law or by the Commission is reinforced by what the Commission has done and the people that it has targeted, especially the way these targets fall into specific factions within the political party, the ruling party. So the public has this strong feeling that the Anti-Corruption Commission is being instrumentalized to fight internal party political fights. And if you look at the number of people that have been targeted, and if you look at what faction, we know, the public knows what faction they belong to. And you call the crimes petty. It is really petty to call corruption for someone for having 10 bags of beans. And you say he's been arrested because we are dealing with corruption. He has 10 bags of beans at his farm. And it's corruption and we are government and we are serious. And the other one is 2 television sets that he donated to a church and he is arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission, and we expected the citizens to think, no, this is normal, this is dealing with corruption. So those perceptions are not just perceptions, they are supported by facts. That's why I think when people talk about corruption, and you always hear the $15 billion coming, right? People want to answers for those solid, concrete issues that have effect and impact on the economy of this country. And I think if you realize how much Africa has lost in terms of illicit financial flows, I think it's well documented, and how that has affected the economy of Africa and the economy of Zimbabwe in particular. So people want answers. Is the Anti-Corruption Commission an instrument of a faction of a political party? And if that's right, should the taxpayer pay their taxes to sustain such a commission? Thank you.
Okay, I can see that this one is going to be, Mr. Mtasa, I'll give you 1 minute on this one, but I have a question coming for you.
Thank you. I just want to point out that when citizens were invited to the intervention by the military, that was a coup, that was not a coup, the catchword was, we want to deal with criminals surrounding President Mugabe. So we are still waiting for the criminals that were surrounding President Mugabe. We cannot be made to believe that the criminals who were surrounding President Mugabe is Ignatius Chombo, is Mzwembi and Makosina alone. Unfortunately, because of the many reports that have been done on past corrupt scandals, people are seeing criminals surrounding the president, the current president again. And that is where the anti-corruption task is difficult. Because we know they were fighting a factional battle with Jonathan Moyo, with G40. And up to now, they have not vindicated themselves. that they are not an instrument for factional fights. They have still not said anything about the ministers who are there. But all the ministers who are there, they were implicated. If you talk of Minister Mpofu, if you talk of Minister Nyon, if you talk of Minister Chinamasa, there are many reports that implicated them in the past cases of corruption. So what we expect for a national institution which is constitutional is to get out of this ZANU-PF factional battle and make sure that they carry their constitutional mandate without fear or favor. And unfortunately, they have not scored any score on that. 0-0.
Right. So Anti-Corruption Commission, very popular. Anti-Corruption Commission, a very popular public institution, clearly seen to be, to lead in watchdogging over issues of accountability and use of state funds, but not yet perhaps barking more than it is biting. I think that's what I'm hearing from the panelists. But before I let you respond, Dr. Sibikune, I'd like to just acknowledge Frank Mpahlo, who has joined us from Transparency International, which is a global watchdog on issues of maladministration, abuse of funds, etc. But in particular, Transparency International Zimbabwe office that has worked extensively on issues of corruption, and I think most famous for Taneta Newori, meaning we are tired of corruption. Frank, with fresh ears, you've jumped into the space. You work both with the public that expects higher standards of accountability, but at the same time you engage a lot with the various state processes and the institutions that are meant to close the gaps that we have. What's your take on this conversation?
All right, thank you so much. Forgive my dressing at the youth activity this afternoon, so I was trying to look a bit young, so I had to dress this way. Anyway, so my point of departure would be that for the past probably 15 years, when the Corruption Perception Index study has been going on around the world, Zimbabwe has never really scored above 21 out of 100, which is pretty dismal, and we fall in the categories of Afghanistan, DRC, and even Liberia. That's those are our friends when it comes to corruption ranking. And it's a very dismal score, and no investor is willing to invest in such a country. So I just thought I should share that score. And only last year, in 2016, our latest CPI score were number 154 out of 176 countries scored. So we are like the bottom half, if I can say so. So you are dealing with a country that has got very terrible levels of corruption. And when we're talking about CPI, we're measuring the level of bribery in the country.
What does CPI stand for?
Corruption Perception Index. We're talking about level of bribery in the country. We're talking about access to information. We're talking about impunity itself, something that has been mentioned already, to say to what extent does the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission or all law enforcement agents arrest people, or rather investigate corruption issues that have been coming into the grandstand. And unfortunately, we have left so many people from the old government even into the new government. We have got so many corruption cases. Some of them are just alleged corruption cases, and some of them have got evidence. But there has not been any thorough investigation or real investigation that we know of as citizens. So the big question that citizens have is that, is the real Anti-Corruption Commission really doing its job? And we, of course, work with the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission so much. It's one of our stakeholders. But still, the question comes back to us to say, are these guys doing their job? And for your own information, they say we are doing our job. So the question is, that they supposed to be giving out the information to the people? Some of them is confidential, isn't it? So they're not supposed to be telling people about the level at which they are when they're investigating people. That's our understanding as a body, and even with the people that we work with. But of course, I would hasten to say that there's been so much interaction between civil society, represented by TIZ, and so many government bodies, including the ZRP itself, the parliament, which we've got an MOU with. These increased political will to deal with corruption. So we are also waiting for that thing to happen. We're waiting for that thing to happen to say, is there somebody who has been thoroughly investigated and probably prosecuted to say that these guys are doing their job? So that is the question that we also have together with the citizens. So that's my take so far on this discussion.
Okay, so back to Dr. Silikhunu. I think that's the point. You know, you are seen barking. I think every time you arrest someone, it's always on the front page. And then that's pretty much the end of that. Let's go and let's talk a little bit about the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission and where you are on those particular issues.
Okay, I will not want to be driven into a discussion that will see me talking about issues that are already before the courts. Yeah, I think for professional reasons that is not proper. But let me seek your indulgence. I need you to understand that investigations is a process. It is not an event. One. When you then get to hear about somebody is going to be arrested or somebody has been arrested, it's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen that way. Progressive jurisdictions actually do not divulge who they are going to arrest. And I think we were actually being attacked as rattlesnakes in the very beginning for going to town. But it's not so much that we want to go to town about these issues. We also have a progressive crop of journalists who really probe and who are also into these investigative issues, and they get to find out. We also have, maybe from my own stable, those who have the propensity to want to speak out and divulge information. It's unfortunate, but really, we are part of the law enforcement agents. I've never heard the ZRP say, we are going to arrest so and so. They don't do that. So equally, as part of the law enforcement system in this country, we should not. It's unfortunate that perhaps you find information already out there. But in terms of our protocols, we actually don't. And we would want to hold people to account if they do that, because it really compromises our cases, and a publicized case is as good as a defeated case. The issue of, are you pursuing a factional agenda? Unfortunately, you know, we are operating in a very polarized, political, highly politicized environment. Particularly the previous era, again, it was highly politicized. I think, I don't want to talk much about the very sensitive cases, but the fact of the matter remains that you cannot separate what is prevailing in the economic sphere and what you are supposed to be pursuing as your mandate. So we'd find ourselves as a commission that we want to investigate XYZ. That XYZ begins to label the commission as targeting him for political reasons. I think that is probably the cheapest way of defense that anybody would want to bring on. But it would hold water. Why? Because of the environment in which we're operating in. So I want to be progressive. I want to move forward. And I want to challenge you to say, why don't you watch the space and see whether this same rhetoric song of you being factional, you being pursuing XY because of this agenda is really going to hold water. I think we need to be given some time. Yes, I do acknowledge that there have been reports of certain members who are in the present dispensation, and they've been labeled as having committed XYZ. Some of the cases, unfortunately, if I can say, they are already being looked into by the commission. But the others, of course, you need thorough information. It's not easy to investigate something that is very high profile. It's not easy. 15 billion. I'm glad to say that the investigation was already instituted by the previous dispensation. So we may be talking about history, but we need to now ask questions, where are we? The perception index that my colleague alluded to, yes, I want to believe that we were not yet there. The likes of us were not yet commissioners. So, we are certainly going to improve. Fantastic. Because there's a plethora of issues that they look at in terms of coming up with this perception index. And I think with the current vibe that we are having now, we certainly are going to go a long way. we already are now putting in place certain measures. Policies never were in place, and policies like the bill that's going to be coming up, we as the Commission are also working on the National Anti-Corruption Policy. We may not succeed at arresting all of you, all the big fish, but I can assure you, one thing that we'll succeed on is putting in place very watertight systems and policies that will make it so difficult for you to commit that act of abuse.
Okay, great. If I could start.
Hello viewers, my name is Doug Vikela and you're watching Sly Media TV. This is 2018, the year for the harmonized general elections in Zimbabwe. The year the excitement is shooting over the roof. This political party saying we've got it in the bag. This political party saying we will have the majority. At Sly Media TV we bring you a program that takes a journey. It takes a journey into who is representing who. Which constituency is he representing? Is he the right candidate? What does he have to offer? Hashtag the candidate 2018 will be interviewing your candidates from your different constituencies, be it senators, councillors, MPs, even the presidential candidates, and we hear their manifestos, we hear their promises. The good part is, as they promise, you will be able to interface with them. You'll be able to send your messages. You can even send us questions to ask them, what is it that is burning in your heart? If you are an aspiring candidate also, you might feel we'll leave you out or you feel left out. If you feel you have any manifesto to sell, you can contact us on the details on the bottom of our screen. Sly Media TV, building bridges.